Now, I want to talk about some YouTube optimized storytelling structures, and these are microstructures, so you can just see and maybe understand how to think about how things are being set up in a YouTube video. Because a YouTube video is, of course, a really long video that has a macro progression that goes from A to B, B being whatever the promise of the video is. But in between is a lot of individual parts, and I think that if you master those individual parts, then you can make a really, really good video. I want to expand a little bit on the hook event payoff model that I talked about in the version 1 of the course, because sometimes it's a bit more subtle. It's easier, if you're thinking in the Mr. Beast style of the hook event payoff thing, but I want to show you another example from Airac in this particular case. This is a video capture the flag in real life, and in this video, him and his friends are trying to capture the flag. Inside this video, this is at the 6-minute mark of the video. You can see that actually there's a re-hook, but that hook is something that creates anticipation. The event plays out, and then the payoff is when that hook actually ends.
I was on this road, and then we'll be there.
All right, I'm calling in play number 2. For my second play, I'm gonna go after Tyler. Sorry, Tyler. Not really, though. Tyler's a good guy. He never breaks the law. So, to throw Tyler off, I'm going to hire off-duty police officers to arrest him and throw him in the back of a cop car. Can't capture the flag in the back of a cop car. It's kind of my idea. I'm a genius and handsome. Tyler's done.
So that's the hook, but you can see that the hook is not a very direct, I'm just going to call the cops on Tyler. It's actually interlaced of humor, some different cuts, a GTA screenshot to almost provide like a little bit of foreshadowing in a sense, even though it's not Tyler getting caught, but the foreshadowing is, like this is what's going to happen to this poor boy. So the most important point of this hook is that it creates this anticipation. And remember, I talked about how retention is anticipated reward times immediate emotion. Well, this is the anticipated reward type bit, and you can feel yourself that it's going to be a funny scenario. The payoff is probably that you're going to laugh at this confrontation, but you want to see how it plays out, because in your mind, you're not 100% sure of how it's going to play out.
Our tail right now, I think the chance they catch us is basically none.
Yeah, we can outrun him.
Hit it, hit it, hit it. Oh no.
Step out.
Okay. Oh, it was nice knowing y'all. You guys picked me up from jail.
So this is
He's
all
really
events.
strong. I thought I'd try. All right. Oh,
Okay, you, Tyler.
those are my boys right there in the cart. They said they're gonna come pick me up. Oh, they're going the wrong way. Where are they going? Boys!
And just as I planned, my play went perfectly. Tyler had been reset back to the
And now we've got payoff.
beginning. That idiot. And now it was me who had the lead. I'm an adult playing a child's game. Oh, wow.
So a bit of the difference between the traditional like minigame hook event payoff is now you've actually got hook event payoff progression. The progression is a bit where it's like, okay, it's not just that this event has occurred, but actually that this event is now significant to the plot. There's a few more games that these guys do. I definitely recommend it if you get the chance. But stringing together a lot of these, like when you've got the first game, because he actually explained how the games work earlier on, people become trained a little bit with some sort of structure in their head as to how the game works. And so they want to see how the game plays out. And all these mini games inside the video actually make this otherwise, like it could be a very boring video if it was just them physically running towards capturing a flag, right? So by including these games, you're actually enriching the video quite a lot. So in your videos, think about how you can add like bits of more tension and just more funny stuff that will make your video a lot richer. Now, another way to think of this, one of my favorite books of recent, and I'm probably going to do a video on this as well, is Manga in Theory and Practice by the author of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which sold like, hundreds of millions of copies in the manga and a really, really popular anime. He talks about this model of the Ki Sho Ten Ketsu model, and to show you what that actually means, okay, this is what is called the immutable rule of storytelling. Ki Sho Ten Ketsu is in Japanese, and the key part is where you have the protagonist, or you're setting up the protagonist, ideally in like the Save the Cat fashion where, the audience actually likes the protagonist or can relate to the protagonist. The show part is the development. So usually this is the introduction of conflict or an antagonist. That can be a literal antagonist, like in the case of Capture the Flag, or a fight, or it can be something more abstract, like an internal kind of conflict. But there has to be some conflict there for the hero, which is going to be you in the video, to progress against, right? To illustrate this concretely, the key part is where you're introducing the protagonist, or the whistle is blowing at the start of a soccer match, for example. And so you know that this is the setup. The show is that the opposing team appears and the game sort of builds up with uncertainty. And that's where you've got the antagonist there in this literal sense. Then you've got the 10 that comes after the key and the show, and that's where you've got this twist, which is actually, it's not just that you have an antagonist, but that the antagonist is providing these challenges that are rising and becoming more and more difficult. But actually now you've got these mounting extra challenges that happen, and the more challenges, or the harder the challenges that come up, then the more like you're facing against these opponents. So the teams in the soccer example, they present different obstacles in cycles of attack and defense, and then finally you get the ketsu, which is the equivalent of a payoff, and that's where the protagonist finally achieves victory and everyone's happy and the viewer's happy and you're happy. Sports naturally conforms to this structure, but actually there's many things in life that conform to this structure. In the book, Araraki says that this structure actually is in everyday life and anything that you do. So when you're eating a meal, for example, you've got the key part, which is seeing the meal, the show part, which is that you're starting to conquer your meal. It's not an antagonist exactly, but it's still something that introduces different elements of newness to you, or different elements of like experience to you. And the 10 part might be different aspects of that experience, and then the ketsu part will be like, okay, I've finished the meal and now I feel happy and satisfied that this is like the greatest meal ever. Really the key thing to realize is that the key, show, tenketsu model, or the hook, event, payoff model, all of them conform to the model of the science of fun, which is that you've got stress, then you've got relief, then you've got progress, and then growth. So key, show, tenketsu, or hook, event, payoff are just ways to implement that psychological principle, but in a story. To illustrate this Keisho Tenketsu model further, I'm going to show you a clip from an anime called Blue Lock, which is amazing. So I want you to have a look and think about like what's happening inside this. To very quickly summarize, Blue Lock is about soccer, and these high schoolers are put into this literal building, which is Blue Lock, and they have to compete in soccer, and if they manage to get to the top of Blue Lock, then they get to play for Japan. If they don't, then their careers are essentially finished. So everyone really cares in Blue Lock about winning the matches, because it might be like a life and death situation in terms of their soccer, because they all care about soccer. And here we've got the team, the blue team is actually losing by quite a significant margin against some really difficult opponents. Well, this is part of an episode, but it still obeys this key, show, tenketsu model, and I'll just explain bit by bit how it's going.
マークス使っても無理ってことはさ、こいつらからゴールを奪うときは自分の限界を超えてるってことでしょ。俺の中の怪物が言ってる絶対絶命ってやつはビビるとこじゃない。ワクワクするとこ。ポチロ、面白いじゃん。
Okay, so there you set up the key part, and this key part is showing Bachira, who's this guy who's basically got this monster inside his head that tells him how to play soccer. By introducing and making this character very rich, you become invested in this character and also his stakes and his motivations. So then it makes the development, or when he faces the antagonist, interesting, because you want to see, like, you know, how is this going to play out. So this is the first.
超速手段じゃ左と見せかけて右だろルーレットスピン暫定
So quite literally, he's overcome the first antagonist, and then you set up the structure for how he's going to overcome the other antagonist, which is basically that he's going to show off these like crazy ball dribbling skills. The twist part of it is these mounting obstacles. You got 10, 10, 10, 10. You can have 1 10, or you can have like 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and just like have lots and lots of twists that prevent him from getting to the final goal, which is the ketsu part.
早メガネだったな
ルーク、用意どんなら俺に分があるぞ。アウトサイド、左か、右。
違う空中エラスコできたじゃんじゃんイメージ湧いてくる
すまん、やべえやついった。
ゴールまであと3人ぽっきり3人で一気に潰せいいねいいねどうせ俺たちは世界一のストラ
With his show and the 10 part, you can see that the tension keeps on rising, and you can hear that in the music. As he's getting closer and closer to the goal, you're like, oh my god, he's gonna get it, I think. Then, well, we'll just let it play out.
になるためにここにいるんだお前らくらい倒せなきゃそれまでのストライカーってことだねあと3すげえよバチラなんて楽しそうにサッカーすんだよお前の言う通りだこれが俺のサッカー人生で最後の真剣勝負だとしたら 2、1。絶望なんて負けてからすればいい。今はただ勝つために。バン。あ、てめえ、しまって。うわあ、マジだ。やぼうだ。すげえ。見た？俺のスーパースペシャルゴール。ほら、楽しくなってきたっしょ。
The Ketsu is not just the goal, but it's the reaction of everyone to the goal as well. For him in his progression as a character, but also for the other characters' progressions, and also for this one moment had changed the entire match. So it's a very, very clutch piece of story writing, and even in just that 2 minutes, you can see the key Show 10 Ketsu model play out in a way that makes people feel excited, or makes you. I certainly loved watching Blue Lock. So I hope this particular lesson provides a bit of insight into how those payoffs work. You can see that they always come after some sort of big tension, and then they have the relief. So if you don't use a key Show Tenketsu model, or you don't use a hook event payoff model, it's fine. But you've just really got to think about how you're playing with people's anticipation, playing with people's feeling of tension in their body, and then how you're going to honor that tension that you've built up. You find that on the flip side, the most boring videos that you ever watch are ones that are tensionless, or you just find that the tension is weird, or that you don't relate to the character. Kisho Tenketsu forces you to do that right. The show and the twist has specific conflicts and considerations, and it's got the Ketsu as like, well, you have to have some progression, because if you just have a tragedy, then you know, you can make tragedies and stuff, but then people won't feel happy. They'll probably feel depressed. You'll notice that the way that it gets reflected in retention actually is that if you build up something, but then there's a failure, then actually that causes a slight dip in videos. And if it's building up and then it leads to a failure, that's going to continue on into the protagonist continuing to try, then that's different. But if it's just like purely build up, failure, then people just feel bad, right? So if it's build up, failure, but still going, and like the tension is rising therefore, and then you eventually get to the victory, then that's something that makes people feel really good. And that's how to master tension and mini stories in a video, and I'll catch you in the next one.